And this is the After the Show, Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
Sam, you must not pay as much attention to Murphy, the details, as I do.
What?
Because...
What?
He does.
Haircut? What?
No. I guess it's kind of subtle. Or maybe
Actually, you know what? I have no hair product in this morning. I just realized that. Do I look okay?
you look great.
Yeah. See,
you look so
but
sweet.
every now and then you just got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did it a little over the holidays.
What, give your hair a rest from hair products?
Yeah, and I did.
Why?
I did things, with family members, and we said that Will's send-off party and everything.
Right, Sam?
When he went overseas, and I just did it without product. I
So,
was living on the edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy.
It just felt good because it's like,
yes.
whatever.
But
you
see,
know?
I like the hair product stuff, and sometimes I feel like, well, I didn't mean to go there.
That's fine.
So obviously, you didn't notice the detail that I'm not wearing hair product today, so that's good.
No, it doesn't. Everything doesn't look as set as
I guess
normal.
we should have been concerned if you did. Murphy, you're not wearing hair product today,
But
are you?
because Murphy, because you and I are married, I notice every little new detail, and I've had a little time to get used to this. But the first couple of days, oh my gosh,
I know
he's
what you're
freaking me
saying.
out with this new watch.
Oh,
Have
you
you
got a watch?
noticed?
Yeah.
Wait, not just any watch.
I
A
haven't.
smartwatch?
It's a smartwatch. I haven't. It's not very smart yet because I haven't finished programming it. But yes,
It's
I guess
ginormous.
And so this is my first foray into it. The reason I really wanted a smartwatch is because it's supposed to be able to communicate with the sensor that I'm wearing now for the
The
diabetes.
new-
Oh, okay.
And and it'll pop the number up there without me having to go to my phone.
That's the excuse you used to Jody.
Right,
I
exactly.
need this watch
Right, now-
because it'll help me stay alive.
But
If it will, that's great.
yeah. So I'm still getting used to it. The messages and the alerts from the phone, and I've seen people use them for a while. I guess I do like that. It's going to be a discreet way to be able to get notifications on some things, but the technology is not perfect on these at all. I'm kind of surprised because they've been around for a long time.
You mean for
And-
the way it communicates with your meter, or
Or
just,
just in general.
Well, in general, there are a handful of things. So you know what? I'll save you some time, Sam. So if you decide it's something you want, I'll give you the little the tips.
Okay.
Here. I'll be Mr.
Number one.
I'll be Mr. Consumer Reports like for a second. There really are three different operating systems. The Apple Watch is the one everybody's most familiar with. I think it's probably the most popular also, which goes with iPhone, fully interfaceable with iPhone. Any Apple Watch you want apparently is going to be a pretty good watch. Then you have the Samsung Galaxy Watch, which is also a very popular watch, very high rated. However, it has its own little set of apps. And so if you're a heavy Google user and an Android person, you can use it. I mean, the Samsung Watch will go with either. But everything I've read about it is it's very limited with its app functions. And then beyond that, there's something new that Google has done, of course. And I don't know if you heard this. Google literally yesterday announced that they're buying Fossil watches. You remember Fossil
The other
watches?
day, yeah.
They developed their own smartwatch.
I love
Recently.
Fossil
Well,
watches.
they still have Fossil stores at some of the outlet malls.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, and it's been a long. I had a Fossil watch back in the day.
I haven't
the
worn a
analog
watch
one.
in a decade.
Yeah. And see, I haven't either since I put this thing back
I
on.
know.
But the biggest problems right now are battery life because it's a screen and it's tiny. Some of the app interfaces, and then it's the classic Android versus iPhone stuff, which is dry. I'm at the place in my life where it's like, come on, guys, interface.
The consumer is the one who suffers.
May the best brand win because the deeper you get into the technology, the more restrictive it becomes. It's almost impossible for me to go back to Apple and iWatch now or any of that because I'm so vested on the Android Google side now. Would I have to duplicate all that? You know what I mean? It's just it's complicated. So, but battery life is the big deal because most of these watches, which will monitor your steps and heart rate, and that's what most people wind up using them for: notifications and the health stuff. It lasts maybe a day if you're lucky.
It's a USB charger.
And now it's got its own proprietary charger too.
Of course.
Ta-da!
Right,
Here's
exactly.
what I
Which you
want to
can
know.
purchase for an additional.
Are
Right.
you getting text messages on it yet? Like when I texted
yes.
you this morning?
Yeah, and I tried to answer one on it, and well, that's rough.
Almost crashed
If you
the car.
think your phone screen is small, try putting your fat fingers on this, or mine anyway.
Yeah.
It's just kind of.
Can you talk into it too? Is it like
Yes. That was another thing that I researched. Not all the phones for it to have the Google Assistant, which is what I like to use, it has to be running a software called Wear OS, which is Google. They're the ones that have that operating system. Otherwise, there's no Google Assistant built in. And again, it's not because, I mean, I love the Google Assistant. I didn't choose it because she's my favorite. I chose it because everything else I do is already tied to that. So anything that I ask her, she already knows my contacts. She already knows my keywords. She already knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but I really have not had much of a chance to do any of that with it yet because it's
so new. Yeah. I mean, do you feel like a robot yet? You have this new pump, blood sugar, diabetic pump you're wearing that you're going to interface with your watch that you have now. Like I'm
trying. I can't figure it out.
Have made yourself 110% available all the time. Like if you have a watch and you take a nap, you should be able to get away from email but it's just crazy.
That actually is one of my favorite features, just so that you know, when you put your watch in the charger and dock, it ignores everything. It will not, it'll charge, and that's its only job. It assumes when it's docked, you want to rest.
You don't need it. Yeah.
So it won't interrupt you. Because, I mean, your phone's right there to do all that for you, right?
That's right.
It'll wake
Put the watch down, pick up the phone.
But, so, I mean, the only thing, I just can't get it to interface with the sensor, oddly enough. The one thing I bought it for is the one thing I can't get it to work, but it can go into a sleep mode, and then the watch face itself comes up, and you can choose the different watch faces if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to get used to going back and actually looking at what time it is on my wrist. It's going to take a minute to do that. Because I haven't
to go back to basics.
I have not worn a watch in 10 years?
Me either. More than 10. And my phone is my watch.
Yeah, that's whenever I want the time, I'll just look at my phone.
Yeah.
And so here's another thing that Sam will like about this. I don't know how this managed to work out. It was timing. Maybe we could call this fate, because I had been looking and I'd been shopping, and so I went on Amazon, which again is tricky because Amazon's only going to sell the ones that are non-proprietary or that are proprietary to them or somehow have some sort of connection there. Okay.
Yes.
Once again, but so I went on. This is called a tick watch, is what it is, and I'm not endorsing it. This is my very first one, so I don't know if it's going to be a great one or not. It's got high ratings.
That's my concern. We'll get that. Right. Yeah, probably.
But it did have high ratings. But it happened to be when I was shopping, it was a lightning deal. At that very moment, it was $75 off.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, well, no, it was, seriously, because I compared the price on everything else. The price that everybody else was selling it for was $75 more.
Yep.
And so I managed to buy it in that 15-minute window.
Didn't that feel good? I love a lightning deal. Are you kidding?
To sound like Jodi here, did it know that you were looking at that watch on other sites?
I'm sure it probably did.
So therefore, when you hit Amazon, it's like, well, let's get
this guy.
Throw him $75.
Yeah. Which is fine with me if
He's impulsive.
that's the case. Because these things range in price anywhere from $50 to $300. Actually, there are some you're going to get the designer brands. That's not me. But like the tag, how do you say the tag?
Tag Heuer.
Tag Heuer, I think.
That's like a $2,500 smartwatch.
Oh.
But but the average price, like the Samsung watch, is about $250.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is you got to watch out for different sizes because the faces are different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what size this one is.
Watch.
This one's a little bit bigger than really what I wanted. They make a 42 millimeter that's more of my speed. But once you start to see some of these are like 60, 65 millimeter, they're big.
Can't even lift your hand.
Like carrying a plate.
Jodi calls him a wrist monster,
Yeah, it is a wrist monster. My only concern, not that it's true for our phones, it's true for everything in technology, but how long will you wear this, get used to it, love it, find that you have a rhythm with it in your life, and then there's a better one available, and can you get a lightning deal? That chasing technology thing.
Yeah.
I hate that.
There was a book that I read a long time ago from a very successful businessman that said that he never bought electronics for that reason because electronics always deteriorate in value and there's always something better coming. But of course, what are you going to do?
You live
Not
in a cave?
use it? You have to. And if I use that argument for my insulin pump, I'd be in trouble, But you're right. I will tell you, between this and the fact that the pump, because it really is. I know Sam is like, so you had an incentive to buy this, right? It was your insulin, sensor. But but of all these things, that really was the inspiration for it. But the thing that I'm still most excited out of the three things, this watch, the sensor, and the insulin pump, is the pump and the sensor. Because over the last, and I've only been on this thing for, the better part of a week, I haven't had to stick my finger but twice in the last week. It's okay if I, lose my glucometer for a little while or whatever because it's regulating, part of this now. And after 20 years, man, I don't know how to tell you how liberating that part of it actually feels. Even though, I still have to count carbs. I still have to administer the insulin and all that stuff
You still
myself.
have to think about it.
But having one less thing that I have to constantly carry around and think about is like, whew,
it's a hurdle. In fact, for you and your type 1 diabetes story, Murphy, this is one of those moments. It's a before and after moment. It is. New, because, oh my gosh, the constant pricking of the finger and where's my meter and then these little strips being everywhere in our house. And it just, I can't, I hated it for you. When you look at his fingers close up, you can tell they've taken a beating.
See, I don't know.
And I hate
would
that
think only you would be the one to notice that. You said Sam notices the details about me. Have you ever noticed? Can you?
Well,
even
no,
see
I'm not
that
talking
from
about
here?
your fingertips.
I may put on my glasses.
I don't know if Sam has ever noticed your fingertips. I'm your wife.
Yeah.
So to me,
well,
when
last
I look
time
at
I
that,
held his hand.
when I look at that, it just hurts my heart that you've had to do that.
Yeah.
And so you think about children growing up with type 1 diabetes, pricking their fingers. Hopefully they can switch to this sort of insulin pump or whatever so they don't have to prick themselves constantly on their fingertips, which is the most sensitive little part of you anyway.
Yeah, that's what I really hope for is for kids and the moms that have to stress over that because you have two people that are fully, part of that process. But anyway, so back to this kind of freeing up time. What I really like this frees up time to learn the new watch. Yeah, that's right.
And by the way,
it looks good on you.
You can't lose that glucometer because you have that knockoff tile on it, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
Murphy, when you started, you said that there are three different, the Apple, the Samsung, and the Google, whatever thing.
Yeah.
You forgot the fourth watch is the one my mother got from JCPenney from $20
Oh,
$20.
yes.
Her smartwatch that she got, what was that, like 2 months ago?
Oh, that's right. She does it. But what does it do?
It's probably misspelled, too.
For $20, what do you think it does?